For 8 months, the United States searched for Saddam Hussein. It offered $25 million, captured members of his government, launched raid after raid. And still found nothing. Then, on a cold December night, soldiers uncovered a hidden entrance beside a small Iraqi farmhouse. A grenade was prepared. Everyone waited. Then, 2 hands slowly rose from beneath the ground. A disheveled, bearded man emerged from the darkness. The most wanted man in Iraq had been found. But satellites had not exposed him, the reward had not produced the final tip, and the powerful officials captured before him had failed to reveal his location. The trail to Saddam had begun with something far less impressive. A list of bodyguards, a family network, and a fishing pond that almost looked completely irrelevant.
Before we continue, one quick favor. If you enjoy investigations like this, check that you're subscribed to How They Were Caught.
It costs nothing, but it helps this channel continue making better cases every week. Now, let's get back to the investigation.
In March 2003, the United States and its allies invaded Iraq.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
Baghdad fell within weeks. Saddam's government collapsed, his palaces were occupied, and his statues were dragged into the streets. But Saddam himself disappeared. Many officials believed he might have escaped toward Syria. Few expected him to remain near Tikrit, the region where he had grown up. Yet somewhere inside Iraq, Saddam was still alive. And as attacks against coalition forces increased, finding him became more urgent. The government had fallen. But the man at its center appeared to have erased himself. To help soldiers recognize former members of Saddam's government, the United States created a deck of 52 most wanted playing cards. Saddam was the ace of spades. His sons, Uday and Qusay, also appeared near the top. A reward of $15 million was offered for information leading to either brother. For Saddam, the reward was $25 million.
Is today's $25 million on the head of Saddam going to change anything?
And for his sons, the strategy worked. An informant revealed that Uday and Qusay were hiding inside a house in Mosul. American troops surrounded it. The brothers refused to surrender. A violent gun battle followed, and both were killed.
Everybody agrees that it would have been better if the brothers had been captured alive.
I would never consider this a failure. Our mission is to find, kill, or capture.
Shortly afterward, an audio recording surfaced in which Saddam mourned their deaths. It confirmed that he was still alive. But it revealed nothing about where he was hiding. If losing both of his sons could not force Saddam into the open, what would? The reward generated thousands of rumors. Some came from frightened civilians. Others came from people hoping to become rich. Soldiers followed tips into houses, farms, and suspected safe locations. Again and again, the rooms were empty. Former ministers were captured. Military commanders were questioned. Senior officials who had once worked near Saddam were interrogated. None could lead investigators to him. Then an army staff sergeant named Eric Maddox arrived in Iraq. Maddox had previously served as an infantryman and earned a ranger qualification before retraining as an interrogator. But this was his first operational assignment conducting interrogations. He was sent to Tikrit, a place many planners did not consider especially promising. And almost immediately, Maddox noticed a problem. Everyone was trying to find Saddam through the people who had been powerful before the invasion. But that power structure no longer existed. Saddam had no government, no official office, no visible chain of command. The ministers and generals knew the old system. Maddox needed to understand the new one. So he changed the question. Instead of asking, which powerful official knows where Saddam is? He asked, who would Saddam still trust when power meant nothing? The answer was not ministers. It was not generals. It was the people closest to Saddam before he entered a room. His drivers, his cooks, his relatives, and above all, his personal bodyguards. Saddam's security system had several layers. Some guards protected permanent locations. Others traveled ahead to secure places before he arrived. But the innermost guards remained close to Saddam himself. They knew his routines, his movements, his family connections, and the locations he trusted. A departing interpreter gave Maddox a list of former bodyguards and their relatives around Tikrit. Maddox began interrogating people from that network. He did not rely only on threats. He listened for what each prisoner needed, feared, or wanted to protect. Every interrogation produced another fragment. A family connection. A business partner. A driver. A location. Maddox placed those fragments onto a linked diagram. After hundreds of interrogations, one name began appearing near the center. Mohammed Ibrahim. He was believed to be one of Saddam's trusted bodyguards and a key messenger inside the resistance. If Saddam was still receiving money, instructions, or protection, Mohammed might be the man connecting it all. But Mohammed had disappeared too. Maddox's team began working through Mohammed's network. Relatives were questioned. Business contacts were located. A former driver revealed more of the structure surrounding him. Eventually, the investigation reached Mohammed's son. The son could not reveal Saddam's location. He did not appear to know exactly where his own father was hiding. But during questioning, he mentioned something that sounded completely unimportant. He used to go fishing with his father. They no longer went together. But Mohammed still visited a fish pond. That was all. A fishing pond. Most investigators could have written the detail down and forgotten it. Maddox connected it to something he had heard during an earlier interrogation. A person who had worked inside Saddam's household had spoken about Saddam's appetite for fish. According to Maddox's later account, a fish pond had been used to help supply it. The connection was weak. Mohammed might simply have enjoyed fishing. The pond might have contained nothing. But Maddox had learned that intelligence rarely arrived as a complete answer. It came in fragments. And a fragment that looked useless by itself could become valuable when placed beside another. American forces raided the fish farm. Mohammed was not there. Only 2 fishermen were found. Another dead end. Or so it appeared. Questioning revealed that one of those fishermen was connected to someone involved in the resistance. The fisherman also mentioned a relative with a residence in Baghdad. Consider how unlikely the trail had become. Investigators were preparing to raid the home of a fisherman's relative. Because the fisherman worked at a pond. Mentioned during the questioning of the son. Of a missing bodyguard. Who might know where Saddam Hussein was hiding. No satellite confirmed it. No informant promised Saddam would be inside. There was no guarantee that anyone important would be found. But every strong lead had failed. This fragile chain was all they had left. The raid went ahead. American forces entered the Baghdad residence. Several men were detained. But at first, Maddox did not realize who was among them. While questioning one of the captured lieutenants, he discovered something extraordinary. Mohammed Ibrahim was already in American custody. The fishing trail had worked. And the timing could not have been worse.
Before we continue, what do you think of the investigation so far? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's get back to the story.
It was approximately 5 in the morning on December 13th. Maddox was scheduled to leave Iraq at 8. After months of interrogations, after mapping the network, after finally locating the one man he believed could lead them to Saddam, he had roughly 3 hours left. Mohammed initially gave him nothing useful. Maddox continued questioning him as the clock moved forward. 5:30. 6 o'clock. Every passing minute created another risk. If Saddam learned Mohammed had been captured, he could move. And if the location changed, the entire investigation might collapse. Exactly what changed Mohammed's mind remains disputed. Maddox later said he offered protection and incentives that could help Mohammed and his family. What is certain is that, before the morning ended, Mohammed finally provided a location near Ad-Dor, south of Tikrit. Saddam, he said, could be found there. Maddox immediately sent the intelligence to the team in Tikrit. Then he had to leave. The man who had reconstructed the network leading to Saddam would not be present when the hunt ended. He boarded the aircraft without knowing whether Mohammed had told the truth, whether Saddam had already escaped, or whether the most important interrogation of his career had produced anything at all. That evening, American forces launched Operation Red Dawn. Hundreds of troops surrounded the farming area near the Tigris River. They moved toward two suspected locations. The first was searched. Saddam was not there. The second was cleared. Nothing. Nearby structures were checked. Still nothing. After 8 months, after hundreds of interrogations, after the bodyguards, the driver, the son, the fish pond, the fisherman, the Baghdad raid, and Mohammed's final information, the soldiers were standing inside another empty compound. Perhaps Mohammed had lied. Perhaps Saddam had already been warned. Perhaps he had escaped only hours earlier. The search continued around the farm. Then a soldier noticed something unusual on the ground. Part of the surface had been concealed. The covering was moved. Beneath it was an entrance just large enough for a person. The soldiers aimed their weapons into the darkness. They could not see what was waiting below. It could have been an escape tunnel. It could have contained an armed fighter. A grenade was prepared. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then a pair of hands appeared. A disheveled man slowly climbed out of the hole. His hair was long. His beard was thick and untrimmed. He looked nothing like the controlled figure whose portraits had once covered Iraq. But the soldiers recognized him. Saddam Hussein had been hiding beneath their feet. No palace. No underground military headquarters. No army surrounding him. Only a cramped chamber beside a farmhouse, with little more than enough room for one man to lie inside. He was taken alive without a firefight. The announcements soon reached the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. For decades, Saddam had built an image of control. His portraits appeared in schools, offices, and public spaces. Statues presented him as permanent and untouchable. Now the world saw a completely different image. A defeated ruler emerging from the ground. Military doctors examined him. Journalists were shown the hiding place. Photographs of the small underground chamber appeared around the world. The contrast carried more power than any speech could have. A man who had ruled from enormous palaces had been discovered in a space barely large enough to stand inside. But his capture did not end the Iraq War. It did not create the stability American officials had hoped would follow. Violence continued and the conflict entered new, increasingly destructive phases. The capture ended the search for Saddam. It did not end the consequences of the invasion. The world remembers the whole. But the whole was only the final link. Saddam was found because one interrogator stopped following the official hierarchy and began mapping personal loyalty. That led to the bodyguards. The bodyguards led to Mohammed. Mohammed's network led to a fishing pond. The pond led to a fisherman. And the fisherman led investigators to the man who knew where Saddam was hiding. The reward had failed to produce the final answer. Advanced surveillance had failed to reveal the chamber. But Saddam's private network had survived the collapse of his government. And every surviving connection left another piece of the trail. Military power captured Saddam Hussein. But patient intelligence found him. Which one actually ended the hunt?
Before you go, the next investigation is already waiting. Click the video on screen now to discover how they were caught.